Happy Wednesday, everybody. We are going to be breaking down the Ruby Rose blaming Bryan Freedman for breaking into Travis Kelce's house to serve Taylor Swift news. There is never a dull day in this lawsuit. But it's funny. We're going to get into the details of what Ruby Rose was talking about in regards to her run ins with Bryan Freedman. But as soon as I started looking into the Bryan Freedman website and the whole situation with Ruby Rose, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it clicked. And I actually remembered that whole situation. I just didn't know who Bryan Freedman was at the time. So, like a smear website against him in, I think it was what, April, May. We have it all here. I'll show you guys. But a smear website against him back then, I was like, okay, against a lawyer. All right. But we're going to break it all down. How are you guys doing this morning? I'm running a bit late. It's just been one of those mornings. So thank you for still hopping on and being here, my friends. Oh, I worked on Batwoman in Vancouver. Do not get us going a ton, Ruby Rose. Oh, that's funny. Oh my goodness. Such a small world. I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Okay, let's dive over to, and let me know, did you guys see? Yes, you did see that video on Jed last night. Was very interesting. Black Hat SEO. How'd you guys like that? Have you guys seen it yet? Posting videos that late, unfortunately, because we run a farm animal sanctuary. We have 3 dogs. We have a whole farm. Sometimes I don't get things done in the time frame I want. So posting it that late, you might not have got a notification, but let me know if you saw that video. We'll touch on it today because we're talking about another smear campaign website. So we might as well talk about it. We'll talk about it a little bit. But let's have a look at what Ruby Rose had said. I have it still up in my Instagram stories. Okay, so we'll also go over who Ruby Rose is. I have my coffee. The dogs are quiet. I'm home alone with the dogs, so we'll have to be tight on time today. And just a heads up, I do have an update coming later today in regards to Charlie Kirk and some more media manipulation that's going on. So if that's of interest, that's coming later tonight. If it's not, you can certainly skip it. All right, so Ruby Rose had taken to Instagram stories. I didn't make this website, but I would buy dinner for whoever did. Linking who is Bryan Freedman. Now, there's a couple interesting things about Ruby Rose. Ruby Rose was part of the Taylor Swift, Blake Lively Girl Squad, Girl Gang community. So she was part of that whole group. She also had a lawsuit. Allegedly, Bryan Freedman was representing the other side. We'll look at it today. So she's had a bone to pick with Bryan for some time. This isn't like her problem with Bryan Freedman came out of thin air. Now, why did she post about it again yesterday? I don't know. We could go and say, here I always look for truth. We could go and say Blake and Ryan put her up to it. Very possible. We could also say that maybe she did get served at a weird time or a weird place by Bryan Freedman. And she was like, oh, I'm convinced it was him. I'm convinced it was him and Justin Baldoni that sent this person at 2 a.m. to serve Taylor Swift. So maybe there was something in it in regards to her past experience with Bryan that triggered something. But either way, she took to her Instagram stories to remind us all, because it's an older website, that whoisbryanfreedman.com exists, which it is interesting to me that that website is still live. You don't have to go through the Wayback or archives or anything to find it. It is still live, which was most shocking to me. She then went on to say, the Baldoni legal team, Bryan Freedman, who was one of at least 6 lawyers against me in Warner Brothers sitch, sent a private investigator, Bryan's fave tool to scare people. So I'm guessing she had a run-in regards to a private investigator or something, to break into Travis Kelce's, Kelce spelt wrong, property at 2 a.m. and give her a deposition document, despite the courts recently shutting the request down. He needs to be investigated for his antics. Frightening. And then she links the article here. The chosen lawyer for Greg Berlanti, WB, Vin Diesel, and Justin Baldoni sent the PI to Taylor Swift's. I don't even think we still have any kind of confirmation that that's what went down. Anything I'm seeing is, allegedly had been sent by Justin Baldoni's team. I just want to see. I'm really bad at multitasking. Yeah, so she goes back with Taylor too. So I'm seeing some people say, well, she must not have been, she must not even know really Taylor or Travis or anything. I'm not saying they're still friends, but they were close previously. Let's just pull it up here. Ruby was part of the T Swift girl gang thing. So they were good friends who met around 2015, remained close. Swift even presented Rose with a GLAAD award in 2016, and Rose attended Swift's secret album listening sessions. She was part of Swift's squad. So we have, and I don't have that picture available, but someone was sharing on Instagram pictures of oh, there it is. There you go. There's the picture. Taylor, Ruby, and there's your Blakey Poo as part of this whole girl squad. So she was friends with Taylor. I don't know if she is still friends with Taylor, but she does know Taylor. So the misspelling of Kelsey's name, whatever. I still think it's absolutely ridiculous. I genuinely don't believe, but hey, I will be the first one to come up here. Guys, I'll be the first one to come here and say, I was wrong. If Justin's team comes out and there's confirmation that they sent the private investigator / process server over, then whatever, I'll come out and I'll say that I was wrong. But she's just, trying to drag people into things and bring up the past on Bryan for something that at this point seems to have literally nothing to do with anything. Of course, Blake is involved. We got the girl gang. I know it's Kara, who's good friends with Taylor, is not friends with Ruby Rose anymore. Interesting. Ugh. But let's go over to the website. I don't want to go down. I'm like, my brain's thinking about one thing. Like, do I want to go down that rabbit hole? Let's stick to what I had planned. There's so many rabbit holes I could go down, but let's pull up the website. And I'm going to get into, or actually, let's pull up some of the stuff that was happening previously. Lawsuit, Warner Brothers. Okay. So Ruby Rose, I don't know. I think you have to be older, to be honest, because I know who she is and I remember her, but maybe you just have to be a little bit older to remember Ruby. I would say back at this time, especially be hanging out with Taylor and them, was, I would say, a decent size name, not like an A-lister, but a decent size name. But this is October 25th, 2021. Warner Brothers TV defends DeRay Scott. I probably mispronounced his name. I always mispronounce his name. I apologize. Following further social media allegations from former Batwoman star Ruby Rose. So Warner Brothers Television has stepped in to defend the actor DeRay Scott after his former Batwoman co-star Ruby Rose made further accusations via social media. What is it with these, everyone goes to social media to trash each other? Even in the Amanda Ghost Rebel Wilson case that I've been covering, Rebel Wilson runs to social media to trash Amanda Ghost and right the day or two before Amanda Ghost files her lawsuit. It's just ridiculous. So the studio is called Scott, who played Kate Kane, Batwoman's father, Colonel Jacob Kane, on the WB series, a consummate professional, and stated that there have never been any allegations against him of bullying or of abusive behavior on his part. The studio also reiterated that Rose was fired over multiple complaints about workplace behavior. The internet is the new burn book. It is. It 100% is. Oh, yes. Thank you, Andrea. Personally, I think her best known role is Orange is the New Black. Yes. Thank you for pointing that out. I meant to mention that. I do think that as well. So there's been rumors, and back in the day, rumors about workplace behavior with her. So that had not been something that just came out of thin air. Warner Brothers continued, we condemn the comments made by Ruby Rose. Warner Brothers has found Mr. Scott to be a consummate professional and never received any allegations of bullying against him or abusive behavior on set. Mr. Scott was greatly respected and admired by his colleagues and was a leader on set, the studio noted in a statement. Warner Brothers Television did not pick up Ruby Rose's option for an additional season because of multiple complaints about workplace behavior that were extensively reviewed by the studio. So this was after Rose doubled down on social media activity over the weekend, blasting Scott and threatening legal action against executive producer Greg Berlanti. That is who, if we remember back, I know it's like brain mush by this point in time with this entire lawsuit. Yes, thank you, Haley. I always forget. You guys always have my back. Make sure to like and subscribe. This Greg Berlanti is who she's also blasting in her Instagram stories and on X when she said, Bryan Freedman, chosen lawyer by Greg and the WB and Vin Diesel and Justin Baldoni. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I mean, a lawyer's doing their job, and it turns out, based on everything I've seen, that she was the problematic one, allegedly, based on what I can find. Now, of course, people are going to say, well, that's the whole smear campaign, and that's the whole thing against her, and I can understand that as well. But, I mean, we're even seeing people in the chat saying, don't get me started about her. Apparently firsthand experience in the chat. So there's that. Now, she was blasting Scott and threatening legal action against executive producer Greg. She says, I have too many witnesses coming forward with worse than just your anger issues, but you're suing me for $10 million because G. Berlanti shared his lawyer with you. Please come first so I can use the money from that case to take out G. Berlanti, she wrote on Instagram stories. Someone needs to step in with these celebrities, man. Someone needs to step in. Like, take the phone away. It's like a child. Take the phone away when they're upset. Have a social media manager. I don't know. Change the password or something. Oh, take Taylor Swift's approach. She doesn't say anything, which is all intentional so that you don't get stuff like this. It is unclear what Rose is referring to, as Scott has not filed a lawsuit against his former co-star. He did issue a strongly worded statement after Rose's post last week in which she accused Scott of misconduct on set, including allegedly being abusive to women and hurting a female stunt double. As Warner Brothers Television has stated, they decide not to exercise the option to engage Ruby for season 2 of Batwoman based on multiple complaints about her workplace behavior, Scott said. I absolutely and completely refute the defamatory and damaging claims made against me by her. They are entirely made up and never happened. Put the phone down. No, we need the drama. You're like, let them have, crash out on Instagram stories. What are we going to talk about? I love it. I wonder if, now I'm curious, do Blake and her follow each other, or is Blake's hidden? So she doesn't follow Ruby Rose on Instagram. I feel like nowadays that's like, especially if you're in the Taylor Swift universe of friendships, unfollowing someone is the way to be like, cast them out and show the world. Yeah, Blake and her don't follow each other anymore, but man, it's very similar. It seems like allegedly making unfounded accusations against a man that you work with. Allegedly, I don't know. It just seems very similar. Last week, Rose slammed the CW, Warner Brothers Television, Berlanti Productions, and the blistering online tirade, alleging toxic behavior on set. Sounds like Blake's accusations that drove them from the show, which the actor abruptly left in May 2020. Rose's initial accusations name-checked Batwoman showrunner Carolyn Dries and Berlanti, as well as Scott. So that's what she's referring to when she's talking about this lawsuit, and allegedly Bryan was part of the lawyers that were with WB against her. But we also have this website that she reminded everyone exists. We're going to look at this website against some of the other smear campaign websites. I'm not saying a certain someone created it, but I'm saying, damn it, they look a lot alike. And something we've talked a lot about on the channel is how one of the things I noticed with the copywriting, so copywriting is the words that you would put on a website, it just seemed very similar between all the websites. But let me find the one for Bryan Freedman, and then we'll go into what I was. But you have to watch the video from yesterday. The video from yesterday is just wild. We'll go over it a little bit here. Oh my gosh. Where is? I thought I had it open. I guess I don't. Let me just find the website really quick. All right, there we go. Sorry, guys. Today's just been a day. So I'm not as prepared as I'd like to be. There we go. Thank you so much, MDR. $10 super chat. Thank you so much. That's so kind. Strategy. If you don't have the facts, argue the law. If you don't have the law, argue the facts. If you don't have either, attack the person and their lawyer. Yep, that's basically where we're at right about now. Sounds about right. That's the best breakdown I've seen yet. It's just. All right, let's start here. We are going to look at what this website says. We will also look at the other smear websites. Now, I pulled up on the Wayback Machine that this website was created April 15th, 2024. Sometimes with the Wayback in the archives, you're getting maybe like a day discrepancy at times by the time it actually logs it. So I would say it's saying April 15th. I would say you might be able to get it back to April 14th. Either way, this website was created in 2024. There's been 15 edits to it. The last one being June 25th, 2025. So someone's still got a bone to pick. All right, let's go through this together. Bryan Freedman wants to bury his past and hide his personal transgressions. It's hypocritical that he acts so self-righteous. This is the real Bryan Freedman. Pay attention to the words because, again, I'm going to pull up some of the other websites. So why do I care about Bryan Freedman? Well, I am one of his many victims. During the course of a legal case, Bryan Freedman knowingly fabricated very serious and completely false allegations against me. Bryan Freedman's attacks have ruined my life. People think Bryan is one of the good guys, so they believe what he peddles. But in my opinion, he is just as bad as those who keep getting away with it. Someone needs to tell the truth about Bryan and fight back for all those he has abused, threatened, and silenced. Learn the truth about Bryan Freedman. So there's an SA case. There's some links here. So YouTuber goes deep on Bryan Freedman's SA case. Daily Mail, Bryan Freedman paid out $120,000 settlement after being accused of luring a 17-year-old. Business Insider, I passed out or blacked out or something and woke up. We're going to avoid some of these words so we don't get more suppressed than we are with Bryan Freedman. So there's links here. Victims, activists say SA perpetrators shouldn't represent SA victims. And some questionable behavior. So New York Post tech CEO claims celebrity lawyer attempted 10 million shakedown. Bloomberg entertainment attorney Bryan Freedman, UTA, accused of defamation. And then it says, who is Bryan Freedman? That seems to be the end of the website. So it's pretty bare bones. Here's the thing. I've said from the beginning, I don't stand a lawyer. I don't stand a PR person. I will defend Justin until I have reason to believe otherwise. But at this point in time, I don't have any reason to not believe Justin. But let's look at this website on the way back. It takes so long to load, so we'll not go through all of the edits. The first one looks like they just essentially put the website up with a title is the first one. Let's pull it up here. All right. Who is BryanFreedman.com? So again, save 15 times between April 15th, 2024 and June 25th, 2025. And again, sometimes you're going to see might take 24 hours. And we talked about this with the very odd appearance of a book about Charlie Kirk's assassination. There we go. We're going to be suppressed again. Damn it. But the weird book that just happened to be published on Amazon, it said it was published on the 9th. Then they claimed it was the 10th. And there was just a lot of weird goings on with it. And I had said the Wayback Machine showing it on the 11th, but it doesn't mean it was actually published on the 11th. Sometimes by the time it scrapes it, it can be the next day. So either way, we're looking at April 2024, roughly. Now, Amber Rose says she didn't, but no one was asking. When someone starts coming out and being like, I didn't do it, I'm like, girl, why are you saying you didn't do it? No one asked if you did it. Why are you saying you didn't do it? So I don't know. I'm not saying Amber did, but I am saying she had a big bone to pick with him even at that time. And it's just always sus to me when someone protests so much. All right. So we have those edits here. And again, we're seeing the last one, June 25th. So you can see even the edits up here. June 25th would be the last one. Let's just see if we can pull up May 15th. I want to see what they switched for June 25th. What Bryan Freedman did in his past will be on his shoulders. Absolutely. He's, you believe in a higher power, he's going to have to answer for that. And I'm not against, hey, look, at the end of the day, I'm not against those allegations. They are public. He's going to have to answer between him and his maker of whatever, whether it's source, universe, a God figure, whatever. He's going to have to answer for that. But I'm not against them being public so people can make up their own mind about someone. Let's give it a second. It's either still loading or it looks like they took all the copy down and wrote more. But I'm still stuck on who is Ruby. We broke it down at the beginning if you're jumping on late, but she was like an Orange is the New Black, Batwoman. She was, a pretty prominent name until I think her ego kind of got away from her and she started getting a lot of allegations of being very difficult. Yeah, it looks like they deleted all the text. So one of the captures shortly before the final looks like they deleted and rewrote it. But yes, I'm not against making things known about stuff like that. And then people can make up their own minds at the end of the day. It's just like, how is that? And the one thing that bugs me the most with all of this in terms of Ruby Rose and what she has to say is if you look at, and let me just pull it up so I can read it again so I don't mess up the words because I want to make sure I get the words right. She says that Bryan set a private investigator to break into Travis Kelce's house. Like she is accusing him of like a literal crime. Like I hope she has a good lawyer because I mean, you're accusing him of hiring someone to break into someone's house. That is wild. It just makes no sense to me. But let's just pull up a couple of the other smear websites that have popped up that we're aware of. Amanda Ghost is a destroyer of worlds. Now, it starts here. Well, here we are again. Now, again, it's my job, branding, marketing, PR, to notice words. And I had said previously that these websites were just too similar for me to think that different people had done them. Hey, I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but people have a certain way of writing. If I get hired by a client to write something in their voice, right? So if I get hired for branding and marketing on a consulting basis for someone, I have to become that person and how I write so that you couldn't differentiate between that person and me. You wouldn't know Ashley, Brianna, Eve wrote it. But that's not what's happening here. You're just being hired for a client to write copywriting. And so you're not becoming the client. It's just essentially you're being you, more or less. Yeah, Allie, I agree. I think her ego took over and she blew it. She had a really big opportunity at that, before she blew it for herself. I really do think she did. I liked Ruby Rose back in the day. So when we're looking at the writing, there's always a fingerprint. Unless you are doing copywriting for someone else, it's shitty if your fingerprint's on it because people shouldn't be able to tell. But for something like this, again, you're not becoming the client. You're not writing for Nike. So you have to write like Nike and the voice Nike wants to write, or you're not writing for Ryan Reynolds or Blake Lively, right? And you have to bring up this juvenile sense of humor that aged out 30 years ago and is offensive, right? So you're not pretending to be them. So look at this. Well, here we are again. What was the first word of Bryan Freedman's website? Well, I am one of his many victims. That's interesting. And so if you go on about this, if you read through this, it's very similar verbiage and writing and flow that the Bryan Freedman one is in. Again, not making accusations. Let's look at another one. Which other one? Do I have Stephanie Jones up? I did have it up yesterday. There we go. Stephanie Jones holding clients hostage. Doesn't start with well, but after seeing articles about Stephanie Jones last week, I feel confident in finally coming forward and expressing the truth, both in how she treats her clients as well as how she treats her staff. It's similar flow. Let's pull up another one. Now, this is one I have to give all the credit to Chris at Reputation 911. He figured out the alleged, I need banners for that. The alleged connection between potentially maybe Jed Wallace and Alexander brothers. And I covered that as well in my video yesterday. We'll chat about it a little bit today, but make sure to watch the video from yesterday for a deep dive on that and how this connection came about. But look at how it's worded again. Wow, I never thought that I would ever be in this position again, but here I am. Whoops, wrong one. Damn it. Oh, no, I have the right one up. I thought I had the wrong one up. Wow, I never thought I'd be in this position again, but here I am. So we have other ones. Well, I am one of the many victims. We have the one with Amanda goes, well, here we are again. Does anyone else see that there's like a weird connection between the writing of it all? Now, do you guys know who the Alexander brothers are? If you watched the video yesterday. All right, guys, let's not get fixated. Now we're hyper fixated on Ruby Rose. We can move on from Ruby Rose. Do you guys know who the Alexander brothers are? And let me know if you guys saw the video from yesterday, because this is an yeah, don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. That's exactly what it is right now. Am I the only one that's seeing how similarly these are all written? Now, what is so interesting for me with all of this is if we look back at the Discovery and Blake Lively's case and the text messages that came out, Melissa Nathan's messy, y'all. She's messy. She was out there putting every person in one text thread, trashing people while also talking about cases. It was just ridiculous. It was just so ridiculous. So in one of the text threads comes out that she asked Katie Case to create one of those websites. She sends over all of the information that her and Jed, doesn't say Jed Wallace, but says Jed, had put together for Katie to write the websites. So that would be allegedly in relation to Rebel Wilson hiring for a smear website against Amanda Ghost, the one we just saw. The interesting thing is that I take away from that is Katie Case is the one that's writing the copy, it seems like. Jed and Melissa take the information, they send it to Katie, and she writes what you end up seeing on the website. She may or may not actually put it together, but she writes the words. Now, what's interesting in terms of the Stephanie Jones case is that Stephanie Jones she had a deposition of Katie Case. Some of that information was de-designated attorney's eyes only. Why? Because it turns out that Katie Case had said, I wrote that for my employer. Employer would have been Melissa Nathan. And I believe that what Stephanie's trying to do is pin the websites on Melissa and Jed and then figure out who hired them. Now, you guys want a conspiracy theory. Y'all want a conspiracy theory. Rumor on the street. Now, this is a rumor. Actually, it's not saying this happened. Rumor on the street is that Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is potentially behind that website of Stephanie Jones. I don't know. I'm looking into it to see if I can find any ties to it. But that is rumor on the Reddit street, which I don't know how much I believe Reddit, that Dwayne Johnson is the one that hired Jed. Because you want to keep in mind, there's still like these websites, there's still someone that's hired Jed and Melissa, for example, as an example, to put it together. And this is where I'm getting a lot of questions. Get the fuck out. No. Yeah. Because remember, he had a huge falling out with Stephanie Jones. Massive. I'm not shocked, actually. You're like, I called this. I totally called it. Yeah. He had a huge falling out because there was a huge falling out with Stephanie Jones. Really bad falling out with how apparently how his employees were treated by Stephanie Jones. I think we've covered it in the past when I did an expose on Stephanie Jones, the connection, but it was not a good professional breakup. Things got really ugly. Where was I going with that? But you're always going to have a client that's behind the scenes having hired Jed and Melissa. So I've had a couple questions on Instagram saying, well, Ashley, wouldn't Jed, if Bryan's defending Jed and Melissa now, wouldn't they take down the Bryan Freedman website? Well, they don't necessarily have control over it still. If I create something, so say I create the copywriting for a client on something, I don't maintain access to that forever. I turn it back over to the client, and I don't have a right to go into my client's like website or something and change things because it doesn't suit me anymore. So depending on the contract, Jed and Melissa may have no control over whether that Bryan Freedman website stays up or not. So no, I don't think just because Bryan's defending Melissa and Jed now that Bryan Freedman smear website would come down. Depends on the contract. But at the end of the day, if I work for a client and I'm contracted for a client for a consulting offer to create copy around something or create something, I don't maintain access to that for life. Can you imagine if I could just like go in and shut down people's websites? Or like I'm pissed at them now, I'm like, screw you. I take down their website after. You just can't do that. But the interesting thing with the Alexander brothers, and I'll show you really quickly how this was all connected, is allegedly Jed and Melissa scrape that. I'm just so used to saying their names together. It looks like, based on what fingerprints are left on spam wiki pages, that whoever, let's just put it this way, whoever is creating the positive SEO for Jed Wallace, Jed Avery Wallace, street relations, and all those spam wiki pages for Jed and street relations is also the one that created the spam wiki pages that pump up the SEO for this website. This website, Alexander Brothers Extorted, is trashing the victims. It's trashing the victims. They allegedly ran, and they're in trial this year for it, a massive trafficking, insert the word before, ring between I believe it was US and Mexico. So this website here is reputation laundering and reputation management to prop up the Alexander brothers and make the victims look like crazy people. So this is why when I say I'm not a stand for, like, I can agree with, how things are handled in one case and be like, there's serious ethical issues if you're defending these two or three, sorry, there's three Alexander brothers. But this website goes on about like, sure, everyone has skeletons. Who doesn't have skeletons in your closet? Well, I don't have schmeck's trafficking skeletons in my closet. Thank you very much, whoever wrote this. But it goes on to basically say, like, they're being painted as this crime family and that's not what's happening. And we have all these conspirators, and it's trashing the victims to prop up the Alexander brothers because they have their court case this year. Now, I'll show you guys briefly how this all is. Bruce here. Bruce, hello. We love Bruce here. Just in case you haven't watched the video yesterday, go back and watch it because I'm not going to go over every single detail, but I'll let you guys know how this all came to be. So when we're looking at, actually, let's back up let's back up. I'm going to share a screen with you that I share on the stream yesterday. When we're looking at SEO, that's my baby. Mostly because I like putting puzzles together. It's how my brain works. And that's why I'm so good at what I do, even with my clients. It's how I like putting pieces together. I like putting puzzles together. And so I've always really loved SEOs. The puzzle is, how do we get, for example, your website trending on the front page of Google? How do you do reputation management? And there's white hat, there's black hat, and there's gray hat. There are ways that you can do it ethically. There's ways that are like kind of middle of the road. It's kind of And then there's black hat. So white hat is going to be your SEO on page, your off page SEO, your local SEO, app store optimization, and YouTube SEO. So for example, this will even be, say, if you have a blog, if anyone has ever written a blog or has a website, it could be, are you actually tagging your pictures properly that you upload on your website? Or are you downloading it and it's like image 72516 September 24th and you upload that on your website? Or are you actually creating and putting images on your website that optimize SEO? Are you creating headlines, H1, H2 headlines, and page descriptions that are leveraging words that optimize SEO? That is white hat. It's what you do. Anyone that's created a YouTube video, if you want to create a YouTube video, I actually have the beginner's YouTube roadmap that starts, I believe, the first week of October. I'm so bad with knowing my own dates for things. But the beginner YouTube roadmap, I'm going to walk you through how to do white hat SEO for your YouTube channel there. White hat. We're going to stay in the good lane. But that's all white hat. If you upload a video to YouTube, optimization of thumbnails, the tags that you put in, the words that you put in your description, those all matter much more than hashtags, right? Like some people put a ton of hashtags on YouTube. It means nothing really to YouTube. Put one or two really means not a whole hell of a lot. You're optimizing in different ways. That is all white hat SEO. Let's go to gray next. Gray is SEO squatting. So this is, again, that middle ground. It's like, all right. Negative SEO, spun content, paid links, domain grabbing. This domain grabbing is also what happened to Amanda Ghost. And this is something I said for a while. Thank you so much, Haley, for dropping links in there for me. You're the best. Domains grabbing is what allegedly, if they are who, in fact, based on what text messages show, Jed and Melissa did to Amanda Ghost. Because in those text messages, it looks like, again, the information Jed and Melissa put together was sent over to Katie Case to create the website. Well, they took literally amandaghost.com. Like, literally took amandaghost.com. Now she got it back. However, it's kind of one of those areas of like, it's not illegal. Google isn't going to like take you out for it. But do you gotta do that? Like, is that okay? Domain grabbing is also, in my opinion, some may disagree with me on this. Domain grabbing is also what we're seeing in all these smear websites. Amanda Ghost sucks. Stephanie Jones lies. Stephanie Jones is a liar. You're seeing like their names and attached to like one word at the end. So to me, all of this smear website in terms of the domains falls under gray hat. Black hat, cloaking. One example of cloaking, I do white hat SEO after Labor Day. Is it only after Labor Day? That's the only time you can do white hat? Yes, thank you. It's not illegal, but it's not ethical. It's like, yeah, it's like, and that's where you're seeing people talk about these smear websites of a lot of PR professionals I'm friends with and in my network are like, okay, sure, some of this isn't technically illegal, but where's the ethical line? Like, you're making a racist one against Amanda Ghost. Is that ethical? I think a lot of people would say no. So black hat SEO cloaking is one that is really interesting. I actually think it's really, I mean, again, not that I would do it. I would not do it. But that would be, for example, if you have a website and say a smear campaign website, and you're putting black text against a black background. I agree. Integrity means a lot. I want to be able to sleep at night. I hear you. I want to be able to sleep at night. So do you think it's on the up and up and ethical if you're putting black text against a black background? No, right? And you might go, well, like, why does that have anything to do with SEO? Well, crawlers, creepy crawlers, the bots for Google, for example, can read the black text against a black background. You cannot. Or it's white text against a white background. So you can't see it, but the Google bots can. The little creepy crawlers that go for SEO can. So it's hiding things. Cloaking is essentially hiding things from the human eye that the crawlers and the bots can see that are crawling the websites. That's essentially more or less what cloaking is. I think it's interesting. I would never do it, but it's done a lot. Doorway pages, hidden text, link farms, and sneaky redirects. Let's see about what would an example of a sneaky redirect be? Well, if you creepy crawlers, yeah, those little creepy crawlers that are all over Google. We're in spooky season. Okay, so, and I love that people even care about this. I'm gonna be honest, when I first started talking about this, no one's gonna give a shit. You guys love it. It's definitely not something that goes viral, but I love it, and I love that you guys love it. Because we're truth seekers here, right? And if we can kind of see where the fingerprints are, let's see where the fingerprints are. Okay, so if you go to Google, you're able to find a lot. Like, I'm talking a lot of Jed Wallace, Jed Street Relations, Jed 2456, Street Relations 341. Like, there are just endless, basically spam. It's not Wikipedia, but spam wiki pages. So if you click on them, we only need one example because, yeah, keywords to optimize are going to be your white hat. Exactly. We only need one example because it's going to show you exactly what is going on and how we're starting to put the pieces together on how some of this might be allegedly kind of maybe sort of not making accusations, connected to Jed or someone, let's just say someone that is also editing these pages. Jed definitely has a burner phone or two. Hell yeah, he does. There's a couple. There's a few of those. All right. So if you pull this up, this is Jed Wallace's copywriting on here. Finally, making the time to follow up can demonstrate care and commitment to any relationship. Simple gestures like asking how someone's day was or showing interest in their life can go a long way. These small yet meaningful interactions create an ongoing dialogue that keeps the lines of communication clear. Remember, it's often the little things that make a big difference in bridging the gap in our relationships. Lastly, do not forget that great listeners are often curious. An inquisitive mindset drives us to investigate new ideas and perspectives. Maintaining an expansive mindset allows you to grow with every conversation. When you exhibit interest for what others share, it not only enhances your communication skills, but also cultivates meaningful relationships filled with trust and understanding. Lastly, keep in mind that great listeners are often curious. All right, so you get the dramatic reenactment there. It's a bunch of bullshit. It has nothing to do with what Jed does, right? And so on the front of this, you're like, all right, cool, interesting. But something I've taught in the 90-day PR playbook, so I'm teaching everyday entrepreneurs, public figures like you, how to leverage PR, which is narrative control and reputation management in your own brand. This is nothing, right? You're like, what WTF is this? It has nothing to do with it. But remember, we talked about what the little creepy crawlies see and what the creepy crawlies care about versus you. Well, look at that. There's a backlink. Backlinks can even be US Weekly links to the lawsuitinfo.com. That would also be a backlink. It's linking back to the website you want someone to go to. But there's shady ways, spooky season, there's shady ways to use backlinks. A shady way you can use backlinks is by creating a shit ton of fake wiki pages, spam wiki pages, and putting a backlink in it, because backlinks are going to show Google that this other website that you're linking to is important. Let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense, guys, or if you need me to explain it in a different way. Hopefully the video yesterday made sense. I was trying so hard to make it make sense. But every time you put a backlink, so say you make 100 fake wiki pages and every single one has a backlink to another website. So linking back to the other website, it's giving a boost giving a boost to the website you're backlinking to. So where does this backlink to? Jed Wallace. Okay. Street Relations Inc. on Signal Hire. So every time I can find one under Street Relations or Jed Wallace, it links back to what appears to be legitimate. For all I know it is or is not, I don't know. But it appears to be a legitimate, words are hard today. I've not had enough coffee. Signal hire for Jed. So in theory, say Jed wants to control what people are seeing if they search his name. By backlinking a bunch of things to this website, this would be higher up in the algorithm. I mean, now it's probably going to be a mess with how much he's being mentioned in this lawsuit. I'm surprised Google can't tell when it's fake page with a backlink. It makes their system easy to manipulate, 100%. Google pilled them years ago. It obviously works in some ways because it's still being used by some of these big PR companies. So this is what happened, the backlinking with this website. Now, if we go over, now I want to show you. Let me make sure I have. Okay. So if you pull up Amanda Ghost, I love how someone sold my cell phone number to telemarketing companies because all day all I get are messages. I just know it's because another one came up. If you type in like Amanda Ghost, or if you look at even like Amanda Ghost Madame, because that's what the smear website was talking about, you get a ton of wiki pages. Now, this is in regards to a different type of work, but it still really has nothing to do with Amanda Ghost. But if you go down, and I've clicked on this one, so it's going to blend in even better. There you go, Amanda Ghost Madame. And if you click on it, it doesn't bring you to the website anymore because she reclaimed the amandaghost.com website. But they all link back to the smear campaign websites. Now, if you go in, there's like buyback link, black hat LinkedIn, backlink buyers, stuff like that, like things that make no sense. They're not real people. And then you go over to the contributions for backlink buy. Whoops, that's not what I want to do. But yeah, look at like all the Jed. These are all like just a sample of the ones of fake pages. Jed Wallace, Jed Wallace, Jed Wallace 890, Jed Wallace Street Relations, Jed Wallace Street Relations 881. There's a ton. That's not what I meant to do. So the person that created the wiki pages for Amanda Ghost is also editing Jed Wallace 890, Jed Wallace Street Relations 881, Jed Wallace Street Relations, Jed Wallace Street Relations. That's weird. And especially when you go through, if you click on a lot of these, it's nothing. It's just a bunch of BS. So you have to pull up 500 entries to find it. And again, it's just a bunch of BS. Interestingly enough, there's actually multiple companies in here that are allegedly from Texas, which I found interesting. But yeah, it's just. Now, where is interesting in regards to. Whoops, wrong one. Didn't mean to pull up that. Do I even have one up still? I don't know if this is the one that has it. But when you start to look at the Alexander brothers as well, there's multiple wiki pages that are. Did you see he registered that surprise witness? Did he? Jed? Are we talking about Jed? What? You're going to have to update me in the chat. Are we talking about Jed? That's wild. Thank you so much, Allie, for the support and the super sticker. I love that lantern. I need to start getting in spooky season. I love Halloween. I love fall, although it's very hot in Ontario right now. We are going through like a heat wave. Okay, so same thing with Alexander Brothers. It's the same blueprint. Like it's the same fingerprint, right? So you have a bunch of random ass things, and then you have the backlink to Alexander Brothers here. That goes to Alexander Brothers exploited the website we found, but if I click on it, it goes nowhere because now that smear website is only available through the Wayback Machine or the Wayback whatever. All right, so if we go quality backlink services, let's go 500. So the person that created the pro Alexander Brothers, and in my head, I struggle with it. In my head, I keep wanting to say like the smear website against the Alexander Brothers, but it is not. It is pro. The one that created the spam wiki pages that have a backlink to the website that is the smear website against the victims, but pro Alexander Brothers. I know it's so hard to keep all this straight. Also edited and had their hands in street relations. Jed Avery Wallace 808, Jed Wallace 443, Jed Wallace street relations, Jed Avery Wallace, Jed Wallace. So I'm not saying that Jed Wallace did all of this, but I am saying that it seems as though whoever is editing and creating those Jed Wallace ones is also, it appears, editing and creating these other ones. It's just weird, right? I love this stuff. I'm so glad. I was a designer for digital agencies for years, and I've seen a lot of this. I love that. I'm so glad you guys enjoy this. I don't know how these people can sleep at night with all the facade. I agree with you on that. I agree. BJ did a whole expose on Jed because of BAM. What? Interesting. I might have to chat with BJ. I followed her from the Britney Spears side of things. I like her a lot. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to have to look at that. I'll look at that afterwards. Maybe we can cover that another day. Yeah, can you imagine your actual job being making these meaningless fake pages with backlinks? Yeah, to just smear people or support people that are being accused of trafficking. It's just wild. Apparently, BAM had to contact Jed daily for a check-in. Needed to move my laptop. That surprise witness found that Jed allegedly working with Lou Taylor. There is another super full of integrity character for anyone that was following Free Britney or knows anything about Britney. Lou Taylor, you know that name. Registered that surprise witness in Georgia while she was doing the Free Britney movement. All right, well, there you go. That's wild. So that's what he did with, allegedly, if we're to believe Melissa Nathan's text, with Amanda Ghost as well. Registered amandaghost.com, literally amandaghost.com. Now, my whole thing was, why the hell have you never claimed your own name? But that's, I'm also someone that has about 200 domains that just sit there. Like, I don't know, I might use this one day. Why not make a domain on it? So that's something I do all the time. Maybe not everyone else does that, but wow. All right. Thanks for letting me know. I'm actually going to make a note of this because I want to reach out to her. I've been meaning to reach out to her anyway. Just hang out with me for a sec, guys. Okay. I'll forget. ADHD, I'll definitely forget. But yes, there you go. So there's another connection. Oh, yes, I got the hype button back. My video yesterday got the hype button back. I think they took it away from me for a bit. But I have it back. So please hype smaller creators. Oh, she's in the dock. Okay, well, guys, I'm going to look into that. Is it Jed's fault or the client's? Well, I mean, I guess that's the whole conversation, right? I mean, I would never do shady black hat shit. I can't imagine the client's like, register amandaghost.com. Like, I can't foresee Rebel Wilson having been like, domain grab, register amandaghost.com. Yeah, that's what we're going to, I I can't foresee that. Like in no reality do I see that. Do I see someone going to Jed and being like, yeah, register that surprise witness. That's what we're going to do. No. Yeah, Nick Shapiro took it from me. Probably. Probably. Hello, Rainbow Pickle. It's so nice to see you in the chat. Like, I don't believe it. But I do believe, what I do believe is absolutely there's an aspect to people are going to, depending on your integrity and morals, do what the client wants you to do, right? So it appears, for example, so far that Justin Baldoni and Wayfair have said, no, we're not going to certain lengths. And again, I'll backtrack on that if it comes out otherwise, but it so far appears that they have said, like, the website they created was on the up and up. It was literally just hosting legal documents, right? And I don't know. I guess that's it. And you guys mentioned, like, let me know in the chat. Do you think that it is the client's responsibility, or do you think it's who is hired's responsibility? Let me know what you think in the chat. I'd love to hear from you guys. Because for me, it's like, well, you still need to have that level of line that you're willing to cross. But let me know, because to me, I don't know. There's no way. I don't. There's just no way I would cross certain boundaries. Oh, I do agree with this, virtual tourist. 100%. Yeah, there's that inherently shady. But this is what I say, this is what I say overall. Let me just finish the comment, because no amount of optimization actually tells you what the true value of the website content is. 100%. You can have the best idea ever and no one hears it because, and your other comment said, you suck at SEO. This is something I bang the drum on in regards to branding and marketing and all of it. I get a lot of clients because one of my favorite things to do, genuinely one of my favorite things to do, is work with beginners. Because you have people that the people I tend to attract have such a big heart. They want to do good things in the world. They want to help people. They want to make an impact. And one of the things I bang on about all the time, because they'll say, well, I don't care about marketing. I don't care about selling. I don't care about branding psychology. I don't care about any of it. And it's like, well, you're going to stay the best kept secret at the end of the day. You have to understand it. And there's lots of days, even for myself, where I realize I could do things in a certain way that would boost my world even higher, that would boost reach even higher in many ways, but it's not a line I'm willing to cross. And so there's also that give and take of, like, what am I willing to do? And there's certain things I'm not willing to do with clients. I'm not willing to do with myself. Right? So I agree with you 100%. 100%. That's something I've also said about Taylor Swift. She's so great at what she does because her brand is just so well put together in branding and marketing, the PR of it as well, and the psychology that is just so woven into the brand. Because you can be the best songwriter in the world, doesn't mean anyone cares, doesn't mean you go anywhere at the end of the day. So absolutely, I agree. And I think there's something to be said for that in branding and marketing. And then, of course, that line becomes ethics, in my opinion. Something I've said in regards to branding and marketing psychology is, with great power comes great responsibility. Not my words, obviously, stolen from Spider-Man. But you do have to understand the responsibility that comes with it. And a lot of people don't care. A lot of people will cross those lines. I won't. Even if it means, like, I lose out on X amount of money or X amount of views, I won't. And there's that give and take, personally. And I think everyone has to create their own line. And one of the reasons why I want nothing to do with Hollywood anymore is because I won't go over certain lines. I assume most clients don't know the details of how things are done, and that's true too. Right? They probably have no idea. They're like, okay, you're going to create a website. Cool. But they wouldn't know really what goes into it. I think lawyers are hired on the merit of their work, their skill set, and their win record, not their moral compass. And that's true, mildly, or the moral compass of their former clients. And that's, that it's such a great conversation that I love having, because everyone here, everyone in the chat is going to have a different view on that. And I've seen even people in regards to Camille, right? How Camille is speaking out for certain PR tactics that are being used against Amanda Ghost. And people are saying, yeah, but didn't she work with allegedly? Well, definitely worked with Melissa Nathan. That's well known, but there's some rumors that likely Jed was involved. Again, I'm not saying he was. There's just rumors at this point for Johnny Depp. And you use certain PR tactics against Amber Heard. So why are you okay with it when it's on your team for your client, but you're not okay with it, when it's used against your client? And those are all legitimate questions. And I see you guys and I hear you guys in asking those questions. And those are questions I ask myself all the time too. And sometimes we grow and we change and we learn and we wouldn't repeat things we did in the past. And that's okay too. But it's such a great question. Honestly, I genuinely love that question. You're going to see likely every single person in the chat have a different opinion on what that line is. And that's okay. That's one of the beautiful things about freedom of speech and freedom of opinions and our own experiences, coloring the things that how we see things and how we view things and where that line is. All right, let's quickly see what's going on in Blake Lively's world. I don't think anything's happening, but I love this conversation, guys. So those are things that I love playing with the line of. And I agree 100%. If you don't understand SEO, if you don't understand branding, if you don't understand marketing, you don't go anywhere. And you are the internet's best kept secret at the end of the day, which is fine if you don't want to make money. And that's what I say to clients all the time too. It's fine if you don't want to make money. But if you want to make money, if you want to keep the lights on, you need to have your lights on in an internet service to be able to stream on YouTube. All right. Yeah, nothing is going on in her world. Yeah. Nothing. Lakey is an example of someone that has horrible branding. We've talked about it a lot on the channel. She's so inconsistent in her brand and her morals. She's lost. That girl's lost. Okay, looks like there might be a couple new things on the docket too, but let's look here before I get distracted because hashtag ADHD. Could Justin Baldoni be behind Taylor Swift and Blake Lively's friendship breakup? Have you guys seen the new headlines? Have you seen the new headlines that are coming out? And I shit you not. The new headlines coming out that this is the final straw, that Blake and Taylor were friends previously, and this is the final straw. I've seen this going around the interwebs for some time, that they never actually stopped being friends, and it was all to protect Taylor's brand, just like publicly cut ties. But there are so many stories starting to pick up steam. There you go. There's another one. Blake Lively dead to Taylor Swift after humiliating arrest. It's the final nail in the coffin. I want to know who's pushing that story. Oh, thank you, Lisa Jane. I appreciate your guys' insight as well, because you guys bring, we're not going to agree on everything here. And as long as it's all kind, we're not name calling, we're not dragging anyone down. I appreciate healthy debate. And that's what I love about this community so much, is the true core of this community. It is always respectful and just playing on different thought processes rather than attacking each other. But yes, here we go. Blake Lively dead to Taylor Swift after humiliating arrest. They're reportedly never getting back together. I'm going to be honest, guys. I have days where I wonder what's real and what's not. And I know that's not going to be popular, but I have days where I wonder what's real and what's not. It's all PR in so many ways. This website's making my computer lag. Everything you see is curated. I want to know who's pushing this story, though, because this story is actually gaining steam. Taylor Swift is reportedly shutting the door on Blake Lively for good, guys, for realsies this time. After her latest stalker scare, the life of a showgirl artist doesn't want to have anything to do with It Ends With Us actress. On September 15th, Justin Lee Fisher, a former cop turned private eye, was arrested at Travis Kelce's residence. He does have a restaurant now, too, allegedly, in Kansas at 2 a.m. Reportedly. See, no one's saying he was 100% there because Justin and Wayfair sent him there, because Bryan Freedman sent him there. Attempted to serve Swift with deposition papers. So that is the final nail in the coffin. Apparently, they are not friends anymore. See, mildly, I've wondered that too. Like, there's some wild theories, but I'm open to any of them. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was somehow connected to the stalker, which is so scary, everything that's going on there. I I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even know what's true anymore. There's someone that is a part of this community, and they had, if you, this isn't sharing anything that was said in private, it was shared on a live stream earlier this year, and they are connected to the Chiefs, and they had said, which doesn't surprise me, Taylor had been warned about Blake for some time and was told to basically or Taylor was warned about Blake for some time, was told to dump Blake and get away from her because something would blow up, and she never did. I don't know. Ryan Reynolds makes rare comment about his kids and Blake Lively. Ryan Reynolds is going back in the news while he's doing his tour for John Candy. I'm not playing this video. So during his tour, talking about the documentary John Candy, for John Candy, he apparently mentions his kids and Blake. That is rare because he doesn't talk about them anymore. And then one thing that's really just makes you go like, huh, is Blake was getting pushback because a lot of these Gossip Girl articles that were coming out were pushing how sweet she was because she mentioned Michelle Trachtenberg. And I was like, that's not sweet. That's disgusting. That's awful. Why are you using a woman that can't speak up for herself, who, from everything I can find, has never claimed you guys were friends? Why are you using pictures of her? But now you can't really see much of those, which is interesting. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I know who sent that person to Travis Kelce's house, but something just doesn't sit right with me. Foldy, and that's the thing too. Taylor Swift has always been a mean girl. The bots will come for me. The bots are going to swarm. There's been a lot of stories that get buried pretty fast or taken off Google pretty damn fast. And that's what I talked about yesterday. We talked about yesterday how, at that level, if you don't want a story to be staying out there, those stories go away. Sometimes they're never even published. Not even just in regards to Taylor, but just celebrities in general. They just don't get published. And those stories were buried pretty quick. All right. What did I want to do? Oh, I wanted to pull up the court docket. So I am just seeing these, so we'll pull them up together and then I will let you guys go because I need some lunch. I'm starving. And then I'm committing to right after lunch doing some stretching. Sitting so much is just messing up my neck again, and then a workout. Okay, what do we see here? Order. The parties are advised. So this is Lively versus Wayfair docket. I just want to make sure I was on the right one. The parties are advised that on September 23rd, 2025, the United States District Court for the Southern District of New York adopted a standing order implementing new procedures for the storage and service of electronically filed sealed documents. The standing order can be found on the court's website link. So I think that's all it is. Yeah, advising them that there's new procedures, so nothing fancy there. And then the other one that showed up, joint stipulation and order regarding the deposition of Justin Gray Stone. Now, therefore, it is hereby stipulated and agreed by and among Blake Lively Wayfair parties, Jones Works LLC, Jed Wallace Street Relations Inc., and non-party Justin Gray Stone through their undersigned counsel that the Wayfair parties may take the deposition of Justin Gray Stone on October 6, 2025, beginning at 10 a.m. at the offices of, and it has the offices there, which I don't think is relevant. Well, to me. Okay, so who's Justin Gray Stone? Why am I not recognizing this name? Probably because there's so many freaking people. A manager and executive. Oh, is he the WME guy? You guys are gonna have to help me out in the comments. Is this the WME guy? One of the WME guys? I don't know. So it says, whereas on July 15th, 2025, the court amended the case management plan and scheduling order to extend the deadline of the completion of depositions to September 30th. Oh, that's my birthday. It's the final day for depositions. Whereas on September 12th, 2025, the court granted Miss Lively a 10-day extension because, of course, why doesn't Blake get an extension? Oh, okay, thanks, guys. Her manager. Oh, interesting. Interesting. So yes, Blake got an extension, but Justin didn't. So to complete the depositions of Steve Sarowitz, Jamie Heath, and Justin Baldoni from September 30th to October 10th. I genuinely don't understand. Why did she get an extension? It's like 10 days longer to give the extension for Taylor Swift. All right. Whereas on August 25th, 2025, defendants Wayfair Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, It Ends With Us Movie, LLC, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, the agency group, et cetera, served non-party Justin Gray Stone with a subpoena to command his testimony at a deposition. Whereas the Wayfair parties and Mr. Gray Stone have engaged in extensive conferrals to identify a mutually agreeable date for the Wayfair parties' deposition of Mr. Gray Stone, seeking to accommodate the crowded deposition schedule in late September and early October. But, it's Justin's fault when it's crowded and they're running out of time, but not Blake's fault when it's crowded and running out of time. No. So this is in regards to religious holidays occurring in the same time period and Mr. Greystone's personal and professional obligations. Why is Taylor Swift let out of this? Can someone answer this for me? I genuinely don't understand. I know he's saying, well, it looks like, you just dropped it on her. Well, you got the Taylor Swift text messages at the end of, was it June, I believe? So, okay, sure. But I'm imagining throw it in the fuck it bucket if you don't agree. I am imagining that they wanted to get Blake's testimony or her deposition done before they decide what they're going to do with Taylor Swift. That's what I assume. So no, they didn't have like 6 months to get Taylor Swift deposed. That's not true. I know you guys get it. Whereas the Wayfair parties at Mr. Gray Stone have identified October 6th as the most convenient date that accommodate the competing considerations. Whereas counsel for plaintiff Blake Lively, for defendants Jed Wallace and Street Relations Inc., and for third-party defendants Jones Work stipulate to the deposition taking place on October 6th. And whereas good cause exists to modify the existing case management plan and scheduling order to permit this deposition to proceed on October 6th in light of Mr. Gray Stone's schedule, religious holidays, and the numerous other depositions in this case that have been scheduled for late September and early October, while the Wayfair parties and Mr. Gray Stone sought to identify mutually agreeable time. So yes, they got their extension. Oh yeah, so it's this guy. Looks like. Spotted out with manager Justin Gray Stone. So that is who this person is. You guys are right. Manager. Pop up fuck it bucket merch. I need to. I need to. Yeah, someone got paid by Daddy Swift, probably, allegedly. My opinion only. Hello, P. It's so nice to see you. All right, guys. So that's what's going on. Let me just check quick if there's any movement on any of the other dockets. You guys had wanted me to follow. Now that Jed and Melissa are being named in the Logan Paul versus, did you guys see that video? We have Jed and Melissa named in the Logan Paul versus CoffeeZilla lawsuit. They were hired by Logan Paul, CoffeeZilla was saying. And it looks like their text messages and everything are going to be available. They have to make them available. They were trying to hide it behind privileged information. Looks like that's not going to be the case. I'm a Swiftie, not a bot. Hello, Swiftie, not a bot. My thought on why they waited. They didn't. Justin's new lawyer could have thought that they needed Taylor. That's a good point. Since she's new, that's why they were late. That's a great point too. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. That is a great point. Melissa and Jed sure do get around. Yeah. Yeah. We have them in this one now. The Rebel Wilson case, Melissa allegedly is that, well, Katie Case says she was told by her boss, which is Melissa Nathan, her and I believe Stephanie Jones is trying to go for Jed Wallace as well. So in that lawsuit, they're apparently showing up in that surprise witness, and bam, we have the Logan Paul and CoffeeZilla. And that's what I'm saying. He might not be someone that you can really pin down on who he is, but man, he seems to work all the cases. So no new ones on the sourced intelligence. No new filings anywhere else. So it looks like we're good to, as soon as I end the stream, something big's going to happen. Hi, Anna. It's so nice to see you. Yeah, this is just wild. Team Justin is right. Team Justin is right. All right, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I say after an hour and 15 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you guys on the lives. If you didn't see the video from yesterday talking about the connections with Jed, going in a little bit more of the SEO, you can check that out. But other than that, don't jinx it. We need a break. We do need a break. We do. With that, my friends, I will see you tomorrow. Let me make sure I don't have calls. Yeah, I don't have client calls tomorrow. So barring something, an emergency at the farm, I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.